Hi guys, welcome back to the streaming. Hopefully, if you were here yesterday, if not, then just like welcome. My name is meybis Ruiz, and I'm here today to keep sharing with you my rendering workflow, um, which we actually yesterday. Let's just get into it. Yesterday we check. I show you and I talk to you about this non-destructive workflow where you have like a base that is a color base. For this is just a small, like a small short summary for those who were not here yesterday. So this workflow consists in having a color base and then on top of it building up values. So basically adding on top of it shadows and lights. So you get the sensation of volume and dimensionality. And here you can see an example of how this happens. So you have a color base, which is like a circle. You create a new adjustment layer, lower the brightness of it, invert the mask, and then in the mask you paint. You paint with whichever brush you want to. So it can be a hard brush, it can be a soft brush, it can be texture. So you basically, what you're doing is you're painting in the mask of your adjustment layer. You're just putting values on top of it, and in that way you achieve like the render. So that's like the gist of it. That's the essence of it. If you have like questions, if this is not clear enough, I can explain a little bit more, but I don't want to stay here too long, as I want to move forward and then show you how flexible and how versatile actually this workflow is. Because yesterday I just spent a lot of time just showing you how it works. Now I'm going to show you how flexible and how versatile it is. So hopefully you get this, you understood this quick concept that I just gave you. So let me just show you quickly how you can paint. This is just, and again, the summary, so you're not so lost. So you can change the color of a sphere. You can change the mapping of a sphere, like it is like a 3D software. So in that sense, you can change post facto, like after you render, you can change the value of your shadow. You can change the color of the shadow. So the essence of it, of the whole thing, is like it's really flexible and it's really versatile. So I keep saying that, but what I want to do actually is to show you how different things I've been able to produce in the last 2 years with the same workflow. So I'm going to show you now different works that I've been doing, and they all use the same workflow. So bear with me for a couple of minutes as I show you. So as you can see, this one here is very, let me just zoom a little bit. Hi there. Hi. So this one is very painterly, it's very textured, right? It has a lot of brush work, a lot of noise, a lot of texture, but it is done in the same way as I showed you yesterday. So it just have a couple of like more like extra adjustment layers for the bounce light underneath, like here in the face. And I think that's the only thing that has extra. Like same workflow, like completely different results, right? So you have like a more flat character, way more stylized, but it just follows the same workflow. In this case, this character only has one shadow and not even lights. This drawing have like no lights. It's just one shadow layer, and on top of it, I just draw with a hard brush. You can see how rough are these like shadow hairs. They are really not made carefully. So again, this is another work that I did with this workflow. This is like really old, like 2 years ago, and it is a bit more painterly. I spend way more time in it and way more adjustment layers. So one thing about this workflow is that the more used you get to it, you start like kind of like letting go, and you become more confident, and you need less and less layers to actually achieve what you want. You know, at the beginning you have like a bunch of layers for your flat colors, like really a lot, and also like a lot of like adjustment layers on top. And the more you practice with it, the less you use. You become more confident within the workflow. Again, this is like super geometric. It's black and white, and it uses like a lot of selection. There's a heavy use of selection tool and soft brush, and also noise. So same workflow. It's just the same thing. It's just black and white. Here, this one here is curious because I did this study like when I started working with this workflow. I did this study here with only 2 layers, like one shadow and one light. And very recently, like this year, I did this other study. Same workflow, just a couple of layers more. And you can see how different from each other. Like they look almost like drawn by a different person. So it is really like adaptable and flexible. Another more painterly, more textured work, same workflow. Like the only difference between them is just like one has a bit more layers than others, but the principle is just the same, and so on. Like this one is just like one shadow, the rest is just color based. I think this one has one shadow and one light, and it's very loose. This one is just like lines. So you get the point. Like the point is, if you use lines, if you use like your design is going to determine the style, the brushes that you use in the mask, the adjustment layers that you use, all these things are going to determine the style and not the render workflow itself. So in this sense, you can use it to your own purpose, in your own style, and achieve basically any kind of result, from the more abstract to the more realistic to the more like geometric. Whatever you want to do, you can do it with this workflow. So now that I show you again how flexible it is, I want to show you how versatile it is. But now I'm going to start like rendering. I'm going to try to render. As you can see, let me zoom a little bit. They are like, from the design point of view, they are different characters. They have like different design. Like ones are more like abstract, ones are more like, this one is a bit more realistic. This one is quite abstract. This one is kind of like cute but abstract too, stylized. And this is like the extreme of abstraction, I would say. And these two are also in the realm of a little bit stylized but still a bit realistic. So I'm going to start basically. Oh, so sorry, I wanted to also show you this. Yesterday you asked me how many sketches do I do sometimes before I do one render, before I decide when to render. And I want to show you a couple of examples of like, sometimes I do like even like 7 sketches and I'm not happy. Like this example here, like I haven't even rendered it because I'm still not happy with the drawings. It's not like they are ugly drawings, it's just like I don't think they capture in the way that I wanted to, like the expression of the photo reference. And so for me it's like still not there. I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve in this drawing. So this one is another example of like different sketches that I did. In this case, this is a funny case because I was trying to do again like a Bobby Chu challenge, that you draw this under 90 minutes. So I was kind of like really going quickly and doing like different sketches, and I was like not quite decided which one I wanted to actually render because I like them all. They just are different design wise. They use different visual language, and I just decided to render the 3 of them, and I rendered them at the same time in the same layers and everything. And it was a really good exercise because of a time constraint, I didn't save any selection in this file. So this one is an example of like a lot of overlapping selections and small mistakes that actually at the end I kind of liked, and then I started using it later in other stuff. So accidents happen, and sometimes the time constraint helps you to find this kind of like other variations of the workflow that can actually help you to achieve a more loose and more like cool like look. So I'm going to check quickly the questions in case like you already have anything to ask, and then I'm going to immediately just start rendering these characters and walk you through the whole process. So give me a moment. Okay, no question. Oh yeah, how you avoid overlapping selection. I talked about this yesterday. I actually avoid overlapping selections by selecting big areas first, and then I'm going to show you quickly before so I select the whole, let's say the whole silhouette of the body, and then with the lasso tool, I'm holding this like this is the lasso, but you understand. With the lasso tool, I will subtract some parts of this selection, and I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it, and once I save it, I just take again the big selection and I subtract the small selection that I just saved, and then I have the rest, so they will never overlap. That's how they don't overlap. So. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't. I don't mind. I can explain. This is a workflow that sometimes is hard to understand, and I don't mind repeating stuff. So, if you have a doubt, ask it again. I went through your questions yesterday. I noticed that I didn't answer some of them, and later on, between like when I stop to rest a little bit, I'm gonna go over them and answer them quickly. So, just in case I missed your question yesterday, I'll try to answer them today. Okay, so I don't see any more questions at the moment. I'm going to drink water and start rendering for real now. So right now, the only thing that I have created is this black and white, like just grayscale base color. Right now it's not even color, it's just, I wanted to, let me just zoom out so you can see. I wanted to define already the silhouette and some details like clothing, hair, eyes, iris, you know, the base of the whole thing. But I haven't rendered anything. I don't have too much done. So now we're going to see in real time what it takes. So sometimes I do the grayscale thingy probably you're going to ask. I fill my color base quickly in gray, so because I don't want to concern myself with colors yet, so I just want to create the shapes there, and then afterwards when I'm finishing with this like dirty job, this menial job, then I'm going to lock the transparency of the layers, all of them, and then I'm going to start applying colors. For that, I have my reference prepared here, so you can see in the JPEG I have it next to me, so I can use them as a reference for the lighting and for the colors. So I only have reference for this for I think 3 of them. Yes, so basically just for this guy here, for this little guy here, and then for this girl here. The rest are super stylized. They are actually drawn for imagination, so from imagination. So we can do whatever we want with them. So that is what we are going to do. I'm going to quickly start like coloring my base. This guy is quite yellowish. Usually when you do the color base, like when you start creating the color base of a character, when you just choose a color, oh, this is very brown, not yellowish enough. You should aim for a color base that is kind of neutral. You don't want a super saturated color, so let me just show you. You want your color selection for the base, at least that's what my criteria inside this square here is, like in this area of the square. Like if you go too saturated or too light or too dark, it's really hard that the adjustment layers actually affect the color underneath. So you just move yourself here in this circle and don't go to any extreme. That would be my advice when you're choosing. Okay, so okay, this guy, this is black and white. I think I'm going to keep it black and white because it's a black and white picture, and why not? We can change the color later on if we want to. I'm going to do it now. She's gonna be, let's say. Do you have any suggestions? If you have suggestions, please like shoot, and I noticed the shapes suddenly change when you put in value. Is this the effect of negative or positive space? Probably, yes. Like colors and shapes always kind of exist in context. So, I mean, I don't want to, from the top of my head, say yes and say something like stupid, but probably. I know color change in context, so I don't know about shapes. So let's go for the hair. Also, one thing you can usually when you pick reference from professional photos or movie stills, the light are harmonized in general. Like you can see already how the color palette is limited. So you can see here how this is like everything is a bit yellowish. Like the light is yellow, and here everything is kind of like I would say creamy and purplish. So it's quite limited, the palette, and of course this one here and this one here. So when you are using a photo reference that does not have this harmony, I would advise you to use a limited color palette. So don't go all over the place choosing your colors. Try to choose a couple of analogs and one color that contrasts, one complementary, or vice versa. But don't choose like colors from everywhere because it's gonna be crazy. Unless that's what you actually want to achieve. If you want your work to look like psychedelic, then go for it. Everything is about intention too, right? So this looks like super uncanny. So let's color her eyes right now. Eyes, as I said before, eyes, you never choose white as your color base because you cannot do almost anything with that. So when you want like a white, you just go for a super light grayish color, and then it kind of looks white. Like no one is gonna notice. Oh no, this guy is black and white. What else can I say about your color base? It's boring. Coloring is a bit. I mean, no, unless you like. I'm sorry. I'm lying. It's not boring. It's just that right now I feel the need to feel the silence. I think we all can relate to that feeling. Like you feel the need to entertain people, or at least not get them bored. board. I'm gonna give her a sweater. And I'm gonna stay in her palette, like just the same kind of like maybe like a nice contrasting color, because everything is so so analog, like the analogs, the complementaries are so they're so similar to each other that maybe what she needs is actually contrast, something like this. So now the lips. We are almost there. Where are your lips? These are your teeth. Your lips are here. She's looking like she has like makeup. Let's give her more makeup. And also her hair, I just don't know why. I imagine it like super light and weird color. I like this. Let's see. Oh, you're very nice. You find this process like interesting. You're too kind. I have a friend who would be saying like, boring, move on. I'm kidding. I am that person. I'm that friend. So his hair is a little bit. Let's take the color of his skin. I don't know if you have noticed this, but if you observe people, strangers in the street like I do, you will notice that unless they have their hair like colored, usually because of melanin, because of a protein that provides color to the hair and the skin and the eyes, the color of the hair and the color of the eyelashes and even the iris sometimes is quite similar. They live in this kind of like in the same temperature, Like there are several type of blonde people. Like some blonde people have the hair more like wheat. Sometimes they have it more like it's more like platinum or more greenish. So if you notice this, you'll see that also you can see it in the eyebrows. What am I saying you this? Because I just picked the color of his skin and I made it darker and try to also check the reference. But I'm trying to keep myself in the same color as the skin. Oh, I forgot about myself. Wait. Of course, this is going to be black, but of course I'm not using black because again I'm not going out of this boundary. So I'm going just like to use a very dark violet that will look like black later on. And same for my hair. I don't know if you missed this, but I said it already. Already. Like I use the color base that I'm using is not super saturated because later on, that's what I was saying about. I'm choosing colors within this range here, because if I go too saturated, or too dark, or too light, the adjustment layer, this adjustment layer here, won't build anything on top of it. So it's gonna be basically like useless. This is why I'm building my colors from like within this square, in case you missed that. Okay, she's done. Now let's go to her. Okay, the iris. So same color as the hair, and also the lashes, same color as the hair. Let me check. And for this guy, the eyelashes are gonna be same color as the hair. And actually, what I was saying about the hair, I don't know if you noticed this, but some people dye their hair, color their hair, and then they also color their eyebrows, because otherwise you would notice that they're not matching. So some people don't mind, but some people actually do this. Whoops. Let's give her like really dark eyelashes. Where are your eyelashes? Here. In this case, I didn't name my layers because I have a lot of characters, and sometimes the eyes of one character are in one layer, but in the same layer they are the eyebrows of the other. So if I start naming, I'm gonna get super confused. I just try to keep it like low layers count, so I'm not making myself super crazy with this. And for hair, I'm going to make the glasses match the lipstick, and I'm imagining. You know what? Let's change the color of the hair. let's see. Let's wait. I mean, I'm imagining this as a like one of these like furry thingy or like feathery thingies, you know. Maybe it could be like really dark. Because she's blonde, so we want a bit of contrast. Or really light. Let's leave it like that. Okay, so we have already. Oh, like the glasses. Let's make the glasses. Let's make the glasses a little bit crazy, like, but not too crazy, not to the extreme. Let's make it like this, just yellow. She's badass, or at least she thinks she is. Oh, the plate. Oh my god, this plate looks weird. The plate is kind of like, oh my god, I just stopped looking at the reference. The plate is a little bit whitish, but it's just like illuminated by this light. So I'm gonna take the color of the face and just make it lighter. Okay, so we have officially, I would say, color base for our characters. So next step, so wait. Shelky, I struggle with color and I find this process really helpful. We all do, I think we all do. Some people are really good with this. They have like in their mind already like some color palettes, like that they go, like I said, as a default that they go to when they are like in doubt. For me, it's a little bit of a struggle. I have to find reference sometimes and just like pictures, and because it's really hard to just with this color wheel just start picking super nice, harmonized like colors. You know, I cannot do that. Can you say Ilosano? I'm butchering your names. I'm sorry for that. Can you say the steps of the process again, please? I think I arrived a little bit late. I love your work. Thank you. So you're going to see them right now because I'm just doing them in real time. So first step is draw something that you can render. Then the next step would be like create a color base. You can do the whole thing in just one layer, or you can separate in different layers for your later on. As you can see, for instance, I separated the silhouette from the clothing because now I'm just by clicking in the silhouette, Control and then Control Alt and clicking here, I will subtract this content from the selection. So now I have the skin, right, selected, as you can see in these annoying margin ends. So I went ahead and I saved some selections. So I already have, as you can see, I have the noses, I have the eyelids, and I have the whole skin, the face, and then I started creating selections within the face. So I'm going to show you. For those people again who ask why they are not overlapping, I just took the skin and I took away this part and save it as face, right? And then for saving the neck, what I did was that I took the skin and then with Control Alt, I took out the face and then the ear, and now I have like the neck. So this is the way I am creating subdivisions and sub-selections, and they never overlap each other. So sometimes I also create, like, for instance, like the ear, it's just one thing, but then I create a second selection because I know that because of the occlusion, the ambient occlusion, the inner part of the ear is going to be dark. So I'm already like calculating this, and I am just beforehand saving that selection. So I did that for the realistic ears. See, for this ear and this ear here, not for hers. Like, I mean, she almost have no ear, and not for this guy either. Because you'll see. Let's go just with it. Let me zoom back. Okay, so here are the characters. Oh, let's give this guy a shirt that is a little bit more like lighter, so you can actually see the shirt. Otherwise, it looks like he's blending into the background like the invisible naked man. You know. And then let's create this. How do you call this thingy in English? If you can tell me, please. Suspenders. Thank you. The suspenders. So, and then in a different layer, I'm going to create the bow tie. A lot of selection. For those who were not here yesterday, I use all the time selection tool. It is like, whoops, this is too dark. It is like my most used tool, selection and soft brush. Okay, so now I have the base color. Now I can stop, and I will make my lines even like lighter, because what I want to focus right now, oh, this kid doesn't have any eyelashes. Oh my god, well, this is uncanny. So in this case, let's use now lines. Let's not just use, because we haven't used lines, right? So let's use actually, let's create like the eyelashes like with lines, you know. I think that's too much. Let's go with it. This brush, for those who don't know, is I think it's like the, oh, I forgot the name of this illustrator. He does amazing characters, but I totally forgot his name. I'm blanking here. Shion Kim, I think it is his name. So this guy, amazing characters, and also a great brush. I'm going to just go out of the mask, and let's do this character with lines. As you can see, even with this intake, sometimes you have to, you're not happy with your line, and you have to repeat it. So for the line in the chart, I'm going to choose like a lighter color of a line, and then just like show some wrinkles. Okay, you're not so creepy anymore, little kid. Let's see. Still not happy about it, but haha, the struggle is real. It is. It truly is. When I used to draw in the interest, I would. This is not a line. Sometimes I would do the line like 10 times, like Control Z line, Control Z line. Man, the struggle. Yes. Da-da-da. Okay, so a lot of suspenders answers. Thank you. So now the next step, when I have the color base, I like to do is I like to break the silhouette a little bit, break the edges sometimes. I break the edge and add color variation in the same step. I want to leave my colors nice, so I don't touch them anymore. I can ignore that part. So what I'm going to do is take away the transparency locked in the layer, because now I want to actually break the edge. So let's say, like for instance, like for the hair, for her hair, I want to make this part here like in the reference, like there's like a gradient there, like it's like shaved and it's a gradient there. So one way to do it is I can just erase in the layer, right? Just take my soft gradient brush. I'm going to hide the selection because I don't want to, and I can just like erase like this. Oh wait, I didn't color the whole thing. Wait. Okay. So here then I erase this part, right? So, but I don't want to do it like this. This is one way to do it. I don't want to do it like this because I'm not sure yet of this, if I'm going to do this in this way or if I want to actually make other texture in the hair. So I'm going to Control Z. And let me just first fix this thing. The whole thing has the same, or the whole color. And now what I'm going to do, oh damn, it's still erased. Wait, come on. Okay. This is exhausting. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mask in this layer, like in this layer here. I'm going here, down, I'm going to create a mask. So, because this is non-destructive, right? I want to be able to always go back and fix and change things, you know? If I just erase a piece of the head with a gradient, oh my god, this is a nightmare. I cannot select this part again, so I'm going to erase in the layer. So I'm going to do this. But other thing you can do, by the way, yesterday I didn't talk about the grain, how I achieve this grainy thingy. And I just use a brush. I use the soft brush again. And I go here to mode. I don't know if you can follow mode. And instead of normal, I will active dissolve. And what this does is actually create a grain. Do you see it? Let me just zoom a little bit so you can see it better. So it's creating this grain here, right? So I'm going to again do the selection here, hide it, and then I'm going to create the gradient. I guess like less here and more there, right? The good thing about this way to do things is like if I don't like it, I can deactivate the mask, or I can just paint it back again, right? And then I can use other ways to create the gradient, maybe like other tools like this, maybe I like this more, I'm going to leave it like this, right? So if I would have erased that, before in the hair layer, it would be really hard to go back and change things, you know. So I'm gonna just leave it like here, like this, you know. So again, let's go back to, let's not get lost in talking too much about things. I'm gonna keep just like breaking. Oh, you have to be careful. You have to go back here and activate normal again. Otherwise, all your brushes are going to take the grain. Look at this. Look how now the whole thing is graining. So you have to deactivate it. And just back to business. Another thing that I do sometimes is I just like with the selection tool, I go over it a little bit because I want to be able to control a little bit. This brush is a bit wild, so I want to control it a little bit. So I create a selection. It's there. You can see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to like change the size and create like little like small shapes and big shapes, so it's more interesting. Because if I just do one size like hair thingy, it's going to be monotonous, you know. So we're going to talk about this later because I use this principle everywhere, like in the design, in the rendering, in the shapes and size of the shadows. Like it's just very pleasing to the eye when you have bigger shapes, medium shapes, and small shapes next to each other. And even when you have an object and this object has, you have a cloud and the cloud has like a medium bump, a big bump, and then a small bump. So this is more pleasing if I have a cloud that has 3 identical bumps. Oh my god, I cannot even do them identical, but you understand the point, right? This is a boring cloud that has no rhythm, or it has at least a monotonous like rhythm. And when you have like small, big, and medium, it's more interesting. So I use this proportion a lot in a lot of places, and I'm going to talk about it like a lot too. Actually, Steven Silver talked about this in his book, The Silver Way. You can check it out. I learned it there, you know. So I think it's a good summarized way to show you, to talk about the divine proportion, because this is basically just divine proportion, you know, without the Fibonacci thingy on top of everything, of every painting. So I'm going to take this and break the silhouette. Also in the hair, a little bit. No, not too much. Okay, for this one, let's just break the silhouette in a more way. We can do is we can just make the whole thing like grainy, you know. So it looks like a crayon drawing, or and then you can have like another, like some hair like doing this, you know. Again, you have the big shape, but it helps if you either you break the shape a little bit, so you take away like a little piece, or you like add like a small detail that also helps to make it more interesting and less boring. I think this character also needs some like lines. These are my eyebrows because I'm always very angry looking, and my mole. And then I think I need also like the big glasses. Come on, let's do this. Yes. Okay. And then here a little bit in the teeth. Okay, so let's finally break the shape of the hair. It's gonna go a bit crazy here. Any questions so far? Maybe you need a YouTube channel. Oh my god, no. No way. Are you nuts? This is my way to just show you how I work and just like blend into the background and never hear of me again. It's like, no, I just told you everything. I don't have anything else to say. I'm useless now. So here I'm going to make her eyebrows a little bit darker. Where are the eyebrows? Here. I'm going to lock the layer, and I'm going to choose like a normal like brush so I don't go crazy, and I make them darker. But still same color. You know, I'm not going crazy with the colors. And what I'm going to do now, again, instead of just erasing the eyebrow like this, you know, what I'm going to do is create a mask here again and erase in the layer, so I can always go back and fix things. Like here, let's see, like I'm going to raise just a little bit of the edge. Remember I told you yesterday how hair in general almost never looks like a patch. There is always some transition between either the hairline with the skin or your eyebrows. It's really hard unless you have like, well, maybe you have your hair, like your eyebrows is really well done and they are super like really shaped, but you can also play a little bit with the edge here. I know I want to. So I'm going to erase like just like this, and I change constantly the size of the brush because again I don't want to look too monotonous. So I'm doing it with a shortcut because that's the way I'm like I use it a lot, so I need it like accessible for me. So if I have to do this thingy every time I need to change the size of my brush, I would be like nuts. So I'm just like hitting a key, so it goes like smaller and goes like bigger. You can configure it. Yes. Okay, so this guy, I mean, same thing. So erase. For him, let's use this brush, so we don't use the same thing. Is this brush in? Oh yeah, this is just too soft. It's like not doing anything. His lips look like a frog. And also for the hair. Sometimes it's hard to know how much to take away from the hair, so sometimes you can make a selection so you don't go wild and shave his hair, you know? And you use the brush in the direction of the hair. So it's not just random, it's not like this, you know? You just go in the same direction of the hair. So in the lateral I'm going to do it like this, but for instance for his forehead I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to use the brush in this direction, right? So I'm going to rotate it and do it, yeah, like this, you know, a little bit. So you can also use this brush for this thing. And don't overdo it, yeah. Just a small transition. My brush size is on my wheel. Awesome. That's awesome. I could never control my wheel so well. Like when I tried sliding, it just like goes like huge, and then I cannot. It's really unsettling for me. I have no good control of the wheel. So the mask layer just saves the erase info. No, the mask layer, like this mask here in this layer, works in the same way that this mask here. You know. So what you're doing is with the mask is either you are hiding the content of a layer or you are showing the content of a layer, right? So that's all the mask is doing. You're not painting in like adding color in the mask. It's just like grayscale, because the grayscale just shows or hides what is underneath or what is in the mask. I'm sorry. So okay, let's just stop. I think it's time for rendering, some rendering. Okay. Oh no, sorry. Oh, color variation. Let's go quickly here. Okay, so let's go for rose cheeks in her case. So let's do this. Just like something like this. She's gonna be very stylized. We can do basically whatever. For hair, I'm gonna use like this brush here, the Tonko House brush, and again I'm gonna move my slider more in this zone. I'm not sure if you can see the color variation, like with this resolution. I hope you do. Like sometimes, like I have a friend that he uses a lot of like unsettling like color variation, like really jumpy colors. Like he would do something like this, and just like add some like weird, in unexpected colors in his like color variation, and it looks awesome. It looks like a painting. So I'm going to, in his honor, I'm going to do this today. I'm gonna go wild with the color variation here in her face. So yeah, fuck it. Maybe some yellow. Like, but a crazy yellow. I would never do this, like, for real. I'm just doing this because I'm playing a little bit, you know, but why not? And for the hair, let's just go Again, change a little bit, maybe a little bit of saturation. Always remember to block the transparency of the layer. And what we can do is we can give her like some fun, you know, like some sort of like dye hair here in this part. For that we can also use selection tool, like you can basically create your stripes and just take away like others. So selection tool is really useful. Okay, so for her hair, let's add with the selection tool, like let's add stripe of like gray hair. But this is the thing about hair. Hair, even in her case, that she's like very stylized and very like almost like a circle, like a perfect wig. Hair is almost never behaving like so perfectly. So you can try to add some little details into it, so it looks like actual like hair. Oh, this is so weird saying hair, and then you just like a little bit of a stripe. And maybe you can also do it with this layer. Oh, holy cow. Okay, too much. It's too crazy. I didn't like this thing here, so I'm going to just like take it away. Okay. His skin. I mean, I guess he's so pale, so yellow, because he's kind of like dead. Is he dead in the movie? I can't remember. This is a Jean-Pierre Jeunet movie, Delicatessen, I think it's called. I can't remember if he's talking, I think. So let's move around here a little bit, like more greenish. This is crazy. Look how it changed the value if I move in the slider. So I'm moving a lot in the slider, but the value changes a lot, so I have to like try to match the value again so it doesn't go too crazy. Okay. And now she has also soft, rosy cheeks, so we don't have to spend too much time on her face. Just like this. Like really exaggerated. Yeah, let's keep like that. Okay. Her hair is gonna be let's create some like long stripes. Like design wise, you try to keep like a consistent visual language in your character. You know, she has like this like vertical lines and straight lines, and so if that's the design that we're using in her case, try to keep it consistent. Try to also like play with this like long shapes and don't it's like talking a language. Like it has like a grammar and a structure, and as you go out of it, it's gonna look weird. So I don't know if this language thing kind of makes sense for you, but okay, let's try to mix a little bit. Come on, what are you doing? Okay, so let's leave it like this. And now for her clothing, you know what? Let's go for. You remember yesterday the cube, the cube with the spots? Well, oh, this is where the textures like really come handy. Like just like this. Fuck it. Who cares? Okay, let's start rendering now. Okay, let's assume this is a good color variation, and now let's start rendering. So for rendering, now for the people who were not here yesterday, what I'm going to do is on top of my colors, I'm going to create the hue saturation layer. I'm going to move the slider to the left in lightness, so I make it darker because I'm creating a shadow. And I'm going to decrease slightly the temperature, move the temperature slider to the left so it's a bit warm. And then I'm going to saturate a little bit so it doesn't look too gray. Now I'm going to invert the mask of that adjustment layer, and I'm going to start rendering. So for that I'm going to use the soft brush, and I'm going to use the channels. So first thing is gonna be the lids, like this. But here's the thing. So I'm not because I want to achieve like a different result for each of them. So let's put ourselves some restrictions. So I'm going to use for hair face, for this face, I'm going to use only like try to use at least only um, lasso tool that is like polygonal, so no curves. And also I'm not going to use any safe selections for hair. I'm going to try to create all the selections every time I have to do the rendering. So let's try to do actually that. So let's focus on her face for a moment, and let's try to do that. I'm not sure it's going to be okay. I'm not sure it's going to be, this is an experiment, so I haven't done this before, so maybe it's good, maybe it's too complete crap, but let's try. So I'm doing the occlusion shadow, and then I'm going to do like, let's do her nose a little bit, like the lower part of the nose, and then let's do like what is supposed to be the part underneath the eyebrows, which I still don't know the name for that. If someone knows it, please enlighten me. So I'm going to, of course, deselect the hair, because I don't want to render on top of the hair. So I'm going to do this. And I'm also going to deselect the glasses, like the bridge of the glasses. And then I'm going to just render underneath. So I'm going to take the face and take away the glasses and hide it, and then keep doing my occlusion like here underneath the hair, you know, like this part here. And then with the lasso tool, I'm going to deselect the face. I'm going to now mark like this part of the neck, right? But I want to also mark this lower plane of the jaw, so I'm going to now deselect this part. You know what? Let's mark now that we're here the collarbones. The shortcuts that I use for select and deselect are like, okay, I'm using command as a key for clicking in the layer, and then I take that selection, right? With command, I am clicking in the layer and I take what is there. With command and alt, I'm deselecting, so I'm taking like command click, I select the silhouette. Command alt click in the glasses, I subtract this, you know. With command shift, I add. So that's how I'm like picking the selections directly from the layers or from the channels with command. Command click and then alt or shift if you want to add or subtract. And then for creating a selection and saving it, you can go to select, save selection. I use shortcuts. For me, it's just that you can change that. You can make whatever. I think my shortcuts are personalized. I use command alt W to save and command alt Q to load. You know, so that's the way you save and load selections. I also load selections here in my channels window. I just click here. I think it's easier, you know, because if I do this, as I said yesterday, load selection, I just have a weird list of selections, but I don't have like a visual cue of what I'm selecting. So I prefer to just do it here in the channels. Okay, so for hair, let's again take the silhouette, then take away the hair, take away the glasses, and take away the lips. And then with my lasso and alt, I'm going to take away the neck. See, now I'm overlapping selections, and now this is how you overlap selections. So it's okay. It's all good. It's all good, man. So, and now I'm going to take away the nose. I'm going to subtract the nose for a moment, so I can actually render underneath the nose. Right? So all this, now things are going to start like going a bit crazy. So I'm going to now paint underneath the glasses, you know, like this, and then underneath the nose, like this a little bit. Underneath the mouth, like this. Oh, but for this I'm going to actually subtract the whole edge of the mouth. And then I'm going to also do this. So I have only the chin. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to also, like, I want to state the hair planes, like the plane, this thing, right? So, and also let's work a little bit on the forehead, like this, and then like this. So, and now just a little bit the side planes of the nose. And then the nostrils. I don't know how this actually is called. I say the nostrils, but it's just like this part of the nose. And finally, this other part of the nose. Wings of the nose? These are really called like the wings of the nose? Wow, okay. I learned something today. This is really illuminating. Wings of the nose, I didn't know that. Although in Spanish it's actually kind of like similar, so I should have known better. Too much. Okay, let's move on to a different thing. So let's pick now this my own caricature. So now I'm going to change to the normal lasso tool. I'm going to subtract the face, do some occlusion in the neck. Oh, so now I'm going to use the selections for this actually. Oh, I changed the edge before, after I had half the selection, so that's a bummer. It's okay. We got this. So deselect the neck. So here's what happened when you're working with texture. Like, if my whole character has a silhouette that is a texture, I should have the division here, like underneath the neck, also with the same brush, because otherwise it doesn't look like consistent. Like if you have grass as a silhouette, and then the shadow inside is like shiny and clean, doesn't compute in your brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go to edit the mask in the quick mode, and I'm going to take the same brush that I used to break the silhouette, and I'm going to break the silhouette of the selection. So now it's something like this, you know. So I'm going to go out of quick mode, and I'm going to save this, you know, just in case. I don't think I'm going back here, but just in case. And then I'm just going to make kind of a round. My head's going to be like a ball, just like this. And then I'm going to, without hard edges, I'm just going to mark like this shadow here underneath the eyebrows, something like this. I have no nose, it's okay. I don't have to breathe in this cartoon. And then I'm going to just mark how, like, a little bit of a shadow of the glasses. Okay. And if I invert this selection, I can already paint the here underneath the face, and I also can like paint a little bit my teeth, the occlusion in the teeth, so it looks like it's actually half a cylinder inside the mouth. So, and for this guy, I'm gonna do the same. Just like this now, a nice big round shape. Just gonna something like this, like in this part, and then break a little bit, because the bridge of the nose always like goes a little bit forward, so you don't need occlusion there, right? And then you need some shadow here underneath, like the nose, definitely the neck and the ears, right? So let's keep it like that. And let's take for the eyes. For the eyes, you can, let me just erase what I did. So what I'm going to do for the eyes is I'm going to use the soft brush, and I'm going to first, this is going to look weird, I'm going to just like do this, like make the whole thing dark, and then I'm going to invert here, like go for the black. I'm going to very gently take away a little bit, just to make it look like a sphere that is like trapped in the skin. Which actually is kind of like what an eye is. It's just a sphere that is like poking out a little bit, you know. Okay, and for her face, we're gonna be doing the same. And then for hair, we can do it more like graphical, more like this, like really stylized, like this. Oh, yeah. Okay. And the shape of her hair can be they are like spheres, you know, like they look like spheres. So I'm going to treat them like likewise. So something like this. And then for hair, like just then go back to the neck. It's a shame that we're not going to probably be able to finish the whole thing, because it would be super nice that you actually watch how cool this could have been, like how different they are, but I don't think we will have time for that. So I'm going to just now really try to quickly and roughly go and advance as much as I can. Will you finish them and post it somewhere? Yes, of course, later on. Here's the thing, I'm going on vacation on Monday, so maybe if tomorrow I feel like I have some energy, I probably will finish it and post it on Instagram. But I won't promise that I will do that because I'm really tired, and I'm not sure that tomorrow I'm going to have like the energy for that. But definitely at some point I'm going to finish this and post it, and you can check it out. If you want to, if you like to do that, I could also put in Gumroad the flat color of this file, and you can try to like, and maybe the mood board reference, and you can download them and try to actually render them too, like with your own interpretation of them, you know. It will be a good exercise because they are very different in design. So how do you say this? Rutsward. I would love that. Okay, and then let's do that. Okay, so that's like my occlusion kind of like shadow for them. And I'm going to create quickly. We don't have too much time. I'm trying to create quickly. Yes, a direct light. And invert the selection. The mask, sorry. And having some really quick selection tool kind of shadows. I'm not even zooming right now. I know probably for you this is hard to watch right now, but when I zoom, I really get lost in details, so I prefer not to do so sometimes. If I really want to go like fast, I just keep it like small. And sometimes I made things that I actually kind of like. It's like, oh, I like this mistake that I did here that I wouldn't have done if I was being more careful. You know, I'm more thoughtful. So from far away, so here underneath the neck, here. Sometimes like photos from studios are really hard to guess where the light is coming from because there are a bunch of lights. There's not just one light, so it can be tricky. I hope you're not getting too bored with this. Okay, let's go here and see. And then let's go here and do this, and let's add just one light. Screen, invert, and you can do like this for the lights. Something like shapes for the lights too. Some shapes that you find important. Like this. The thing about the blending modes, when you're using blending modes in your adjustment layers, they do not react the same with every color that is underneath. So red can be a tricky color, for instance. Yellow can be also a tricky color, so be aware of that. Not be wary, but be aware of it. So the bridge of the nose is regularly poking out, so I'm gonna make a shine like a light there. So I'm just going here like crazy because I'm going fast, but and also not having a okay, some light there, maybe something like this. You know, and like this here, and the nose and the lips. And then the whole thing that happens here now is like everything looks very, very grayish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create on top of the whole thing, I'm going to create an overlay layer. So just a normal layer, set it to overlay. And I'm going to start like painting with a soft brush to just enhance a little bit the color. Something like this. Like maybe her lips can also be slightly like redder. This guy never rendered him. Poor guy, poor you. She's also like a bit redder. So, and I'm too a little bit pale, so I'm going to just make me a little bit more red. So, if I use this brush, I could quickly just like try to even set up some shadows. You know, like really roughly, and like setting some planes there. Maybe the hair with some like light, like maybe the side of the nose, you know. So you can even like go like quickly and do some stuff there, you know. It's just depending on how much time you have to keep polishing your render. But it's really flexible and it's really helpful, you know. So now imagine that we finished this and it's not that ugly. We can now go back and say I want her dress because her dress is a bit ugly, like the color is very muddy. So I want to actually make it like blue, like a bright blue, and now I like it a bit more. Or I want to change the color of, now maybe hair actually. Oh my god. No, let's not go there. Otherwise I'm going to drag this for a long time. Let's also do this. You can add like a neon light in her case, for instance. Like I don't know, she's in a club and she has like some neon lights in the back of her, like here, you know. So as you can see, like the workflow allows you to do a bunch of different stuff. You just have to have like a design thought, and also it really depends. The way it looks depends a lot in the brushes that you use, and how you use your selections and how you use your shape design. So let me just show you quickly here how I could, for instance, like create another value in this shadow, like maybe like a medium value, let's say. You know, just with another selection. That's the way they overlap a little bit. You know, that's what happened when they overlap. So I think for today I'm gone and like super tired. It's like 12 something, so I'm a bit sleepy. I'm going to check your questions, and I'm also going to answer some other questions from yesterday if I have the time for it. And so let's see. Yes, invert selection, invert option to selection model. The girl with glasses reminds me of Lady Gaga. It's definitely in spirit, definitely yes. So some questions from yesterday were actually like, what tablet do you use? I use a Cintiq. What software do you use? I use Photoshop. Can you do this in Procreate? I got this question like a lot. I think you can use this workflow in Procreate. The only thing that Procreate does not have is the safe selection, load selection thing. But I think Procreate, if I'm not mistaken, uses mask and also uses adjustment layers. I haven't tried, so I cannot like vouch for it. But I'm pretty sure someone told me that it has it. So I know that I can actually do this in Fresco for sure, in Adobe Fresco. So, but again, they cannot load selections or save selections. So it is that I really want they do this. So if they do this, I think I'm going to jump to Fresco probably. What other question you had yesterday? I think one related to like style. Again, like how did I find my style? It's just like a lot of work, man. You have to draw a lot and try out different like techniques and workflows, because one thing for sure that I know that I actually helped me to kind of like find a way to solve things was sculpting. I started sculpting clay with clay as a hobby, and I noticed that I started like really like defining the planes of a face. I didn't do this before, but I started doing it in the sculpting, and then I took that from sculpting and I did it in the 2D art, and it really helped. Sculpting really helped me to understand shapes, uh, the three-dimensionality, and to simplify the face to like really simple shapes. Hmm. How long does it take you to so how long does it take to me to finish a portrait? It goes from an hour and a half to 4 hours. That's like the least and the biggest amount of time I can work in a portrait. Uh, for illustrations, for complete illustrations like in study or kind of character design, I can spend like easily 16 hours. So it really depends on if it's a portrait in study or if it's a complete illustration. Uh, how do you know when it's finished? Well, this one here definitely is not finished. I know that for sure. I guess you know this in your gut. And I know, I remember when I was in design school, that was my main question. How do I know that I should stop, that I should not just continue and fix things? Because sometimes you can overdo it. And I don't know, as a rule, I would say if you are already tired of it, just stop, because some people can like work a lot in a piece and then they just like, at some point they just start like dragging it. Oh my God, I don't enjoy this anymore. Stop. So just stop. Don't keep doing it. But I don't have like an answer for that. It's just like you have to feel okay with what you're doing. You have to feel somehow satisfied. But at the same time, you have to know that it's going to be wrong. That in 2 months, you're going to look back at your drawing that you were so proud of like 2 months ago, and you're going to be like, oh my God, that nose is so twisted. Like, how I didn't notice this. So yeah, accept that you're going to make mistakes and go on and just finish your piece and then go to the next. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm saying if I want to do more streaming. I'm not sure about that yet. Um, I think I would be willing to do it if I wouldn't have to talk so much. So if I would do like, I don't know, like an Instagram study, and I could probably tell you, oh guys, we am doing today at this time. I'm going now, study. Uh, if you want to join, and I can like answer your questions and I can talk to you. But it wouldn't be this kind of like constant flow of information because like my voice really suffers and I really cannot focus so well in what I'm doing. So maybe I will do this like I will stream more in the future, but it will be more probably boring. I'm going to just draw, share my screen. If I remember something that I should say, I will say it. I will take a look at your comments and answer some of them, but I want to be more like focused on the actual drawing. If you are okay with that, you can join. So in those terms, I could do it. I have no problem with that. The setup is done, so I can just like sit and hit a button and share it with you. No problem with that. I would love to see one of your studies, even without explanations. Ha! Okay, then let's do it. I'll do it. So I'll do it once, and then if you're too bored, I won't do it anymore. You can do that. There are plenty of artists that do that, and that would be nice. Okay, then it's set. I will do it. So the only thing is like I'm just going to tell you beforehand. I won't do it as a regular thing that every Friday or every Saturday because I don't want that extra pressure on me. But whenever I'm going to do a study for Instagram, I'm going to share with you. And then if I have to cut the stream, you'll see the result eventually when I publish it. So let's agree there. That's the point that we can agree on. Woman, this never be boring. Yeah, you said maybe not for you, but probably for some people it's kind of boring. I don't think watching your stuff would be boring. Oh, you're too kind. Blah blah blah. You don't have to talk too much. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's do it. So, what other question can I actually answer? Mm, how many? I answered this. How do you know which elements you can exaggerate? This would take too long to answer, but I would say I would just try to look at the subject, and I have here one like this PDF. Like there are 3 people here, and I want to talk about that like a little bit, but I'm not going to extend too much. Like you just have to see that people, like look at them and try to see like something that really pops up for you. Like maybe it's the shape of a hair, or maybe it's how big is a certain part of the face. Like if someone has like a big forehead, enhance that. If they have like really like a small nose in the center of the face, enhance it. So exaggerate what you think is the main feature of this character. So, and in that sense, you will basically find the essence of For instance, like this kind of like caricature that I did for myself is like I can reduce myself to just like the shape of the hair, the head, the two lines, and just the dot. That's me. That's the essence of me. And then I can add more details later on. But that's kind of like taking away everything else and just what makes me me. You know. So and you can do that with any drawing that you're watching. Traditional or digital? It depends. I do. How can I? I'm better digitally. I can achieve better results digitally. But to be honest, I enjoy more doing traditional stuff. If I just grab like uh, watercolors or tempera or acrylic, and I just start painting, it is really like relaxing. This I enjoy a lot. There is like I don't have any expectations. I don't want to achieve anything great, so I really relax and really enjoy this process. It's kind of like in a mindful kind of way. I really it's super. I zone out of everything else. So in that sense, I enjoy a lot traditional, but I'm not as efficient time wise or skills wise. I'm not as good. Mm, do you draw portrait with a reference sometimes? Yes, sometimes I do, but in general, as I said yesterday, I find that reality tends to be more rich than your imagination, at least my imagination. So there are so many. The human face is so simple in principle. You have like two eyes, one nose, and a mouth, right? And then a forehead and ears and whatever, right? But it's just like a limited like set of elements in the face, right? And when you see people around you, like there are so many combinations of like sizes and inclinations and rotations and proportions, and it's just like it's hard for me to imagine 8 billion people, right? And there are 8 billion people who are different from each other. So in that sense, I like to really drink from reality and just observe people and draw them. When I draw from my mind, I tend to repeat a lot, same shapes and same characters. And I don't know why I always draw them like sad. Like also the expressions, if you don't have a reference, you will always draw, if you probably you notice this, you will always draw your characters with the same expression. Like in my case, they are always like either sad or smiling or like super surprised or angry. I have like four emotions that I draw. I don't know what that says about me, but those are the emotions that I go for when I have to draw from my memory. Do you keep doing linocuts or sculpting? Yes, I do. Like this is like the best thing I have ever like tried. Like the most like fulfilling thing and the technique that I tried that breathes more like into my actual 2D work. Like sculpting for me has been like a life changing. Improved my drawing without even trying, and it changed my style. It changed the way I actually see shapes. So I could like I don't have too many sculptures here, but I don't have any reference if you're actually saying this. But as you can see, like you, this guy has like the planes really well defined. I started doing this like in the sculpting first, and then I did that in 2D. So as you can see, I'm just taking like sometimes. Let me just show you this. Sometimes I literally just like take a knife and I say, you know what? I want like make the forehead just a little bit like flatter. So I just like cut it, and now it's flatter. Or the top of the head, and I just cut things out, and for me it feels like even more attractive that I start like modeling like in round, complicated shapes. So it really breathes into my work for sure. This is another sculpture I'm doing right now. Like it's completely different face, but still I'm trying to like just like enhance some like proportions and finding the planes and the cheekbones. So I love sculpting. Definitely, it's like the one thing that I think I will keep doing forever. I have been studying face structure with your portraits a bit, but I hadn't found you until oh, that's a little bit too much, but thank you. Like, thank you. Would you then upload the flat colors to Gunrod for us, as you mentioned? Yes. Tomorrow I'm going to upload the flat color of this illustration. No cheating, so I'm going to delete all the rendering that I did, so you can actually render your own like version of it. Please render it, post it, and tag me on it. I want to see what you come up with. That will be interesting and exciting. And if you want to, I can give you feedback, but to be fair, or you can send it to me and we can actually do a streaming review in that. We can uh, uh, work the details later on. But tomorrow I will upload the flat color version for this for sure. Have you tried any digital sculpting programs? ZBrush, Blender? Blender is hard, man. Like Blender, I'm a visual person. So when I see a software that the UI is really hard to understand, I'm really turned out like quickly. I'm I'm like, no, this is way too hard. It's too boxy. It takes way too more like work to actually control this. And what for me is really fulfilling about sculpting with my hands, it's like uh, it's completely intuitive. There is no barrier between me and the thing. When it's digital, I have to kind of like I struggle with my lack of skills. And when you just grab clay in your hands, you don't have to know anything. You just start like pushing things and pulling things, and you get shapes. So you don't have to do a tutorial to just start sculpting with clay. I tried ZBrush and it looks quite intuitive, so maybe I will try it again. But right now I cannot because my schedule is really full, so I don't have the time to learn a new workflow. But for sure, I'm going to try to learn it in the future. I'm going to post the link of the flats version in my bio. As soon as I upload the flats, I'm going to uh, create a story in Instagram, and I'm going to change the link in the bio from Twitch to Gumroad. But stream review would be great. Okay, then let's do it. I have to wait because you guys have to have the time to try out and post your versions of them, and then we can at some point like just review them. Try New Masters Academy. Yes, New Masters Academy. Like I learned a lot. Just like shout out a little bit, like to some people that I have learned a lot from. Like I have learned a lot from schoolism.com. Like they have so many good like classes. My favorite class, and the class that actually changed also a lot the way I see light and I work and I render, was painting with light and color. I think the teachers are Dais Sutsumi and Robert Kondo. This class like also changed a lot the way I work, so I would totally recommend it. And also you can check like proco.com, which is like focuses completely or majorly in anatomy. You can check New Masters Academy, which is actually really good website. I use New Masters Academy. I don't pay it, but I use their. They have really great YouTube video of poses as a warm up exercise. It's really great. Mm. Okay, I don't see anything else like that I should be answering, so I'm going to wrap up. Uh, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned, especially. Uh, and I really hope that you got motivated to actually try out this workflow in your own stuff. So uh, that's it for me for today. Probably I'm forgetting a lot of stuff, but I'm too tired at this point. I'm just like melting away. So I'm going to stop talking before my brain just shuts down. And you have been very nice as yesterday, uh, and very kind and very patient. So I think yeah, it's not going to be such a bad thing to keep doing streams. So thank you for your patience and for your kindness. So I'm going to now uh, go away. I wish you a good night or a good day according to where you are, and see you around, I guess. Bye.